You know that moment. You're on a date, maybe the second or third one, conversation is flowing, and then your brain just gets hijacked by this one single panic-inducing question. Do I make a move?
Oh, yeah. The universal signal for date anxiety.
Exactly. And it's that internal monologue that's like, if I touch her hand, will she like it? If I
Yeah.
put my arm around her, is that too much?
Or if I don't do it, do I look like I have no confidence?
Yes. It's exhausting. We treat physical touch like it's this high-stakes poker game where we're just trying to guess the other person's cards.
Which is so ironic because the one thing touch should never be is a guessing game.
Right. And that is exactly what we are unpacking today. We've got this fascinating guide. It's called The Comfort Ladder, a guide to respectful touch.
Yep.
And honestly, it feels less like a dating manual and more like a masterclass in social intelligence.
I really enjoyed this one. What stands out immediately is that it just flips the script on how we usually think about physical contact.
How so?
Well, most people think of touch as a strategy, something you do to someone to show you're interested or, to escalate things. But this guide argues that touch is actually a feedback mechanism.
So that's the core shift, isn't it? Moving from touch as a move to touch as data.
Precisely. The mission here isn't to teach you how to score or trick someone into liking you. It's about replacing that anxiety of guessing with the skill of actually reading the room.
And understanding that real confidence isn't about pushing past boundaries.
It's about noticing them before you even hit them.
Okay, so let's get into the deep end here. The guide starts with something he calls the fast scan. Sounds a bit technical, but it's pure biology. What is happening in our brains the millisecond someone initiates touch?
This is lizard brain stuff. It's evolutionary. When you touch someone, before their conscious mind can even process, do I like this person or is this funny, their amygdala runs an immediate safety scan.
A safety scan.
Yep. It asks two very basic questions: safe or unsafe, and welcome or unwelcome.
And this happens before they can even speak.
Oh, long before. We're talking split seconds. The guide really emphasizes that the body is brutally honest. You can fake a smile, you can fake polite conversation, but you cannot fake that instantaneous biological recoil if you feel unsafe.
You know, this connects to such a huge misconception about confidence. I think a lot of us grew up with movies where the confident guy is the one who just goes for it.
Right, the persistence myth.
Yeah. He kisses the girl mid-sentence. He's aggressive. He doesn't take no for an answer because that shows passion or whatever.
Yeah.
But in the real world, that's not confidence. That's a lack of calibration. The source material defines confidence very differently. It says confidence is the ability to notice feedback and adjust immediately.
So it's not about bulldozing.
It's about having the awareness to see how your presence is actually landing.
So if touch is a feedback loop, what are we looking for? Because the guide sets up a binary that I think is really important for anyone listening to get.
It creates this distinction between safety and attraction. And this is where so many people get tripped up.
The guide argues that when you touch someone and they don't have a negative reaction, that usually just means one thing. They feel safe enough not to protect that space.
But that's not the same as I'm super attracted to you.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Not recoiling is a very low bar. It just means you aren't seen as an immediate physical threat.
I feel like that's going to crush a lot of egos. But she let me touch her shoulder. She must be into me.
And that's the danger zone. Mistaking politeness or, just a feeling of basic safety for desire. The guide calls it the absence of no trap.
So just because she didn't slap your hand away doesn't mean it's a green light to escalate.
It just means you're not a monster.
Okay, so let's talk about how to actually navigate this. The source uses this comfort ladder framework. I love the visual of that because you have to climb a ladder rung by rung. You can't just teleport to the top.
Exactly. You risk a serious fall. Comfort builds in layers. It's sequential. You don't jump from stranger to intimate partner in one move.
So let's start at the bottom. Level 1. The guide calls it arms and shoulders, the neutral zone.
Think of this as the I come in peace zone. It's very low stakes. You're at a party, you're laughing at a joke, maybe you lightly tap someone's upper arm or shoulder. It's brief, it's social.
And what's the signal there? What are you communicating?
It just signals, I am friendly and I respect your space. It's like a little probe. You're testing the waters. But, and I can't stress this enough, this is rarely a romantic signal on its own. It's a we're cool signal.
But even here, at the lowest rung, you can mess it up. What does a miss look like at level 1?
It's subtle. You have to watch the reaction. If you tap her shoulder and she takes like a half step back, or her posture stiffens, or that smile suddenly looks a little tight.
A tight smile?
Yeah, that is feedback. That's a no.
It's interesting you mentioned that. We're going to talk about the yellow light later. But that socially forced smile is such a killer.
It is. It's the I'm uncomfortable, but I don't want to make a scene face. If you see that, you don't try again. You just give space.
Okay, moving up. Level 2. Hands. The socially intimate zone. Now, holding hands feels like a pretty big jump from a shoulder tap.
It is, because hands are really expressive. But there's so much nuance here. The guide points out that some people are just naturally touchy-feely. Some cultures are very tactile. Holding hands can be romantic, but it can also just be warm and friendly.
So holding hands isn't a binding contract that you're going home together.
Definitely not. The guide advises looking for active participation. Is her hand relaxed? Is she maybe interlocking fingers? Or is her hand just kind of limp, rigid?
There's a specific scenario the guide mentions that I think every single person has experienced. The pull away. You go to touch a hand, she gently pulls it back. But, and here's the confusing part, she keeps talking. She doesn't run away.
That is the moment. That is where your social intelligence is tested. A lot of people interpret that as, oh, she's playing hard to get, or she's shy. I just need to try again in 10 minutes.
And what does the guide say?
The guide basically screams, no. If she pulls away but keeps the conversation going, she is setting a boundary. She is saying, I enjoy talking to you, but I do not want physical contact right now.
That's not a challenge.
It is a clear statement.
And the only confident move there is to respect it and just act like it's no big deal.
Correct. You don't apologize profusely and make it weird. You just accept the data. Okay, hand touching is off the table. You keep the vibe calm. That shows you can handle a boundary without your ego crumbling.
Now we get to the high stakes territory. Level 3, waist and lower back.
This feels different. It feels almost possessive.
Protective is the word the guide uses, but yes, this is the protective zone. When you put a hand on someone's lower back or waist, you are affecting their center of gravity. You're kind of steering them. You're entering their personal bubble in a major way.
The guide is pretty strict here. It basically calls this an ask first zone.
It really is. And I know I can hear the listeners right now rolling their eyes. Asking? Really, doesn't that kill the mood? That is the #1 fear. That asking makes us look insecure or clinical, like we're filling out a form or something.
And let's look at the alternative. You guess. You go for the waist touch. She stiffens up. Now the mood is actually dead because she feels unsafe and you feel rejected. The guide argues that clarity is actually incredibly confident.
So how do you do it without sounding like a robot?
It doesn't have to be formal. It can just be a check-in. Is this okay? Or even, I really want to hold you right now. Is that cool?
What's the intent? Right.
Yeah.
It shows you prioritize her comfort over your own desire to touch her.
Exactly. And here's where we need to talk about the physical feedback at this level. If you touch someone's back and they arch away, like their spine literally curves away from your hand, that is a loud screaming siren.
That's the body trying to escape.
Yes. Or if they suddenly go silent. Silence at this stage is almost never a good thing. If the conversation stops the moment you touch her, her brain has switched from social mode to threat assessment mode.
You have to reset immediately.
Immediately.
And finally, level 4, face, neck, and hair, the identity zones.
This is the peak. Your face is your identity. It's your vulnerability. The guide notes there is absolutely no universal rule here. Some women love having their hair played with. Some hate it. Some will only allow it if they've been dating you for 6 months.
So you definitely cannot assume all women like this.
Never. The golden rule here is explicit verbal consent. Can I kiss you? Do you like that? Tell me if you want me to stop.
This leads us to what I think is the most profound sentence in the entire guide. It's a total paradigm shift. Comfort is not the absence of a no. Comfort is the presence of a clear yes.
That is the takeaway of the episode right there. We are socially conditioned, especially men, to look for rejection. We think, I'll keep going until she stops me.
The conquest mindset.
It is. And the guide is saying, stop looking for the no. Start looking for the enthusiastic yes. Look for the leaning in. Look for the relaxation. If you don't see a clear yes, treat it as a no.
That brings us to the practical tool the guide offers. The traffic light system. I love this because real life is messy. It's not always a clear yes or no. Sometimes it's just weird.
Right. The traffic light is a way to read those messy signals.
So green light is easy. She's leaning in. Maybe she's touching you back. There's a softness to her posture.
Loose is the key word. Muscles are relaxed. Breathing is even. Green means go respectfully, of course.
Now, The red light,
Hmm.
also pretty clear. She flinches, she moves her hand, she says, stop.
And red means full stop. No negotiation, no why. No, come on, just stop. And doing that protects your dignity, too. You don't want to be that guy forcing a moment that isn't there.
Okay, but we need to spend some time on the yellow light because the guide says this is where like 90% of mistakes happen.
Yeah.
This is the unclear zone.
This is the most dangerous zone because our egos want to interpret yellow as greenish.
Right. She's playing hard to get. She's just shy. She needs me to take charge.
Exactly. But let's look at what a yellow light actually looks like. It's that sudden quietness we talked about. It's the smile that doesn't reach the eyes. It's looking away constantly. It's allowing touch for a second, but not reciprocating.
I think a really common one is when someone freezes.
Yeah?
They don't pull away, they just go still.
Yes. And that's often the freeze response in fight, flight, or freeze. A lot of people, especially women who've been socialized to be nice, won't aggressively slap your hand away. They'll just freeze and wait for it to be over. That is a yellow light flashing towards red.
So if you are in the yellow zone, if
Yeah.
you're confused, if you aren't sure, what's the move? Do you push harder to prove your confidence?
Absolutely not. That's how you crash. If you see yellow, the instruction is clear. Pause and check in.
You have to verbalize it.
You have to. You say, hey, I feel like I might be misreading things. Is this okay? Or simply back off physically and just talk. If you back off and she looks relieved, that tells you everything you needed to know.
It's amazing how much clearer things get when you stop trying to win the interaction and start trying to understand it.
It takes all the pressure off. You aren't a mind reader. You aren't supposed to be.
So let's put this into a toolkit for the listener. The source outlines a practical plan. Step 1. Start low. Don't go for the face on the first date.
Let the comfort build. Step 2. Use small check-ins. We gave you the scripts. Is this okay? Do you like this?
Step 3 really stuck with me. Watch for relaxed body language, not just permission.
This goes back to the presence of yes. Don't just look for her allowing you to touch her. Look for her enjoying it. Is she melting into it, or is she just enduring it?
That is a brutal distinction, enduring it.
But it's real. And if you care about connection, you want enthusiasm, not endurance.
And finally, step 5. Never use touch to test someone.
Right. Touch is not a crowbar. You don't use it to pry open a door that is closed.
I want to circle back to the asking thing one more time because I know it's the biggest hurdle. The guide creates a really cool reframe here. It says that asking isn't just about safety. It's actually a sign of high social status.
It is. I mean, think about the most confident people you know. They don't need to trick people. They're direct. I would love to kiss you right now. That's a bold statement. It puts your desire on the table and invites her to meet you there.
It's way sexier than awkwardly leaning in 80% of the way and just hovering.
The hovering, the worst. Asking eliminates the hover. It eliminates the ambiguity. It turns a guessing game into a shared moment.
So if we zoom out, we've climbed the ladder, we've obeyed the traffic lights, we've checked in. The main takeaway is that touch is feedback. It's a conversation without words.
And there's one final crucial point the source makes. Comfort is not ownership.
Oh, this is a big one. Even if you get a green light, even if you're at level 4,
even if you are holding hands and she's leaning in, that is not a contract for the future. It doesn't mean you have her. It doesn't mean you're entitled to anything beyond that specific moment.
consent is ongoing.
Exactly. Just because the light was green 5 minutes ago doesn't mean it's green now. You have to keep reading the room. You have to stay present.
It really just comes down to respect. Not just following rules to avoid getting in trouble, but actually respecting the other human being across from you.
And respecting yourself enough not to want to be with someone who isn't enthusiastically into it.
Here's the thought I want to leave you with today. We've focused heavily on dating, obviously, but this definition of confidence, the ability to notice feedback and adjust, that applies to everything. Think about your job. Think about your friendships. How often are we walking into a meeting or a conversation with a script in our head, trying to force an outcome, instead of just looking at the people in front of us and seeing what they need?
Stop guessing. Start reading. Makes life a lot less stressful.
It really does. That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.